So, welcome today to Faith, Fear, and Courage, and which will be talking about rising above self doubt. Hello, my darlings. How are you all doing? I hope you're feeling fantastic. I hope that our elevating our episodes towards elevating our lives, it's coming well, and we're all learning and relearning. And it's my hope and my great prayer that we're all going to move into a direction of towards our growth. So welcome today to Faith, Fear, and Courage, and which will be talking about rising above self-doubt. And it is our 5th episode. And my darling, sorry that on Monday I said that that's going to be our 3rd episode, which January should have been 4th episode. So this today is our 5th episode. And let us look on faith, fear, and courage, rising above self-doubt. And following through this journey, all the episodes that we've done, we've literally been able, or by the end of this journey, let me say that we've literally been able to apply ICBE, like I said in the beginning of this series when I was doing the introduction, and which is invest, conquer fear, build, believe, and elevate. And let us today look on self-doubt. So it's very normal. We are all sometimes hit by self-doubt a lot. And myself included. Sometimes you doubt yourself and you think that I can't do this, I can't do that, I'm not qualified, blah, 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 blah. But that's just a story that we like telling ourselves, mainly because probably that's the kind of an environment or the people that surround us do not see even they don't see our strength. They're not able to even clap for us, or mainly because probably they failed in life, or at some point they failed. They think that you're also going to fail. And failure is not a bad thing. It is a learning experience. And without failure, then you will not know if, how growth comes along, and you're not going to learn, and you're not going to learn your mistakes and all that. So anyway, how many times have you stopped yourself from chasing a dream because you doubted your ability? And when I talk about ability, there's something I have always done this for the past 5 to 6 years with my kids. Every time when I'm driving them in the morning, I like to build their beliefs. So we have this affirmation that we keep on saying: I believe in myself and my abilities. I believe in myself and my abilities. I believe in myself and my abilities. And the reason for that is so that I can reprogram their minds. So if they go to school or they go somewhere and interact with people, and those people are going to just more like discourage them, they would already have built a belief that they totally believe in what they can do and in their abilities. But some of us, sometimes we were not brought up in that in families where affirming ourselves was more like a habit. But now that's why we're here. We need to learn, relearn, and also learn some stuff, and also unlearn things that are not working out for us. So we doubt our abilities so much. And we have to start building our beliefs and trusting and knowing that we're all talented and gifted in different ways. And we have to start believing in what we do. We have to start believing in our talents, in our gifts, in our wisdom, in our knowledge. So let me say that self-doubt is not the truth. It's just the voice of fear that you do have, that has always been, chasing you. And faith is the weapon that silences it. So you have to learn how to build your faith. That's why we talked about inner audit, and I said that in one of the quadrants, you have to work on your spirituality, or whatever you want to call it, religion. But in this case, let me just call it spirituality. You have to find a source where you draw your strength from when things are not going the way they should be going. So without faith, you can't do a lot. Faith is going to be your driving source. And that's not what we want to do. Today, we're going to get rid of that pattern. We're going to learn how to go about it so that we can strengthen our faith. And, we bury the doubt, the self-doubt within us. So let's look on the ways we can understand the cycle of fear and doubt. So understanding the cycle of fear and doubt is key here, because for one, you have to understand how fear voice voice, your fear's voice, how it sounds. You have to pay attention to you. Like I said, sometimes we all differ. We all experience fear differently. Some of us might, feel like, some body sensations. Sometimes, like myself, when I'm having fear, it start coming more like a panic attack, and then I start feeling like my belly is filled with lots of fluids in there, and making all those kind of sounds. Yeah, I listen. So when I get that, when I have that awareness within that my body sensation, I know, that's fear kicking in. It is now coming to get me. So you have to learn to recognize your fear's voice. Some of us might hear at the back of our minds, you're not good enough, you're not worth it. And you start maybe questioning yourself, what if you fail it? It's key here to recognize and be aware how your fear sounds and how it feels like. The other thing is we'll look at the doubt's impact. So we have like paralysis, we have procrastinations, we have like shrinking opportunities. And the truth here, we're going to also look at the truth where fear is natural. It's very natural for each one of us, especially when we're about to start something new. But, there's also something we call courage, which is choosing to act anyways, whether fear kicks in or not. You have that courage. And I want us to learn that faith can shift perspective. We talked about perspective. If you've not watched the episode of Perspective, please go back and watch it. It's very crucial in these episodes. And it reminds you what seems impossible is possible. We've seen people do things that we never thought that could be possible. So there is that. And let me kind of like dive deeply when it comes to the cycle of fear and doubt. Number one, how fear starts the cycle. Fear usually begins with a thought or even a trigger. So you probably, for instance, you have a challenge that's upcoming, you have a past failure, a memory, or you have like uncertainty. You have a lot of uncertainty about your future. Your brain kind of like magnifies the risk and it downplays your strength. So your brain is more focused in magnifying, oh my God, the risk that it's at hand, but it kind of like downplays the strength that you do have. That's why I say it's also crucial to write down your strength. So when fear comes, you go back and visit to your journal your strength, and then you start building from there. So there's also things like sometimes you keep asking ourselves, what if I try and fail? And what? That's the question. So instead of saying that, why can't you just reframe that? What if I try and grow? What if I try and learn? So that is the things that, how the fear starts its cycle. So you have to be aware how it starts on your end. Is it is it from a thought experience, or is it like from a trigger experience? Second, let's look on how fear breeds self-doubt. Fear whispers a lot. So you're not qualified, you're not good enough, you can't do this. You don't belong, you're not worth it, you're not worth of success, and maybe someone else can do better, someone else has higher qualities more than you, they're more skilled more than you. So over time you kind of like internalize this voice, and which is now going to lead in doubting in your abilities and your worth and your decisions. And this is very key, because now it reminds me that on our 6th episode, we're going to talk about this doubt, why we doubt our abilities. We're going to look more into relationships, because sometimes the kind of people, the environment that we're at, the relationships that we are at, they kind of sometimes affect our success and our growth. And if you're not keen enough, they can drag you behind. So that have you ever had moments where you start giving people your ideas of business and all that, the project, the skills that you want to acquire, and they start feeding you doubts? right? So I'm talking about, so when you are surrounded by these kind of people, or even in this, when you're in this kind of an environment, you find that you're going to over time always internalize these voices. And that's where now you start doubting your abilities. You feel like you're not good enough, you can't do it, you can't succeed, you're not in the lineage of success. So doubt can lead to hesitation. You start hesitating a lot, even when you get opportunities. And that's how sometimes we miss opportunities, because there's a lot of hesitation. So the cycle of fear and doubt also causes paralysis and procrastination. So when doubt grows, it creates inaction, it creates stagnation. So you spend more time sometimes overthinking about something than doing, than having to execute. So you want to start a project, for instance, but weeks you just drag yourself with more like overthinking about it, overanalyzing, instead of just diving into it. You've done your homework, you've done you've done all the things that you're supposed to do, but still you're dragging yourself behind, but overthinking a lot. And I'm not saying that thinking is not about, obviously, yeah, when you're about to start something new, it's also good to take your time, but do not waste a lot of time overthinking and overanalyzing. So you find when you're trying to start something, you waste a lot of time being there, overthinking, and then you start. That's how now doubts start succeeding. They start kicking in, and with that, the cycle of doubt and fear, it also take us to the loop effect, and which is fear, doubt, inaction, regret, and then more fear. So inaction reinforces fear. You never see what's possible, you never see your abilities, you don't see that you belong. So fear says, I see, fear will come and tell you, you see, I was right, you can't do it. And now that becomes like a loop effect. You start staying in a cycle of stagnation. So when the fear kicks in, doubt is born, inaction or stagnation, then you start regretting about it, and then it starts building more fear. You start feeling you're not worth it, you are such a failure. And breaking the cycle with awareness is important. And I will give 3 steps how we can do it. Step 1, you recognize the voice of fear. So this is fear talking, not the truth. And that's okay if I feel I'm fearful, but I'm still going to do it anyway. Step 2, you interrupt it. You interrupt the cycle with affirmations. That's why I said I affirm with my kids every early in the morning before when I'm dropping them to school. Or you can use a prayer, whatever you want to do. You can write affirmations. You can come up with affirmations. You can create a prayer, or even decide that you're going to act and see if you're going to win or not. And if you don't win, if you don't, get the growth or even the success that you want, you're still going to learn something. At least you did it. So step 3, you replace doubt with faith statements. I'm equipped. I can do it. I can learn as I go. I am worthy. I am skilled. God is with me. That's why I said we also need to find our source energy. What is your source energy? Others believe in the universe. Others believe in God. So whatever you believe in, you need to go back there and draw your source. That's where your strength, that's where you're going to build your beliefs and your faith. And talking about that, let me say that we have to learn how faith breaks self-doubt. So that's why I said go back to the first quadrant of inner audit. Look at your spirituality, the practices that you need to incorporate even when in your journey towards elevation. So for one, faith has shift focus from self to source. That's why I said go back there. Who do you believe in? Where do you draw your source? Because if you're not going to do that, self-doubt will always magnify your weakness a lot. I can't, I'm not good enough, I'm not worth it, I'm not skilled, I am not creative, I am not intelligent and all that. So, but when you draw your source, to higher power than you, faith magnifies to your source. So for me, I always like to say with God all things are possible, which is I think Matthew 19:26 there. So when I keep on, affirming things all the time, I start to believe that statement. And then I start going back to my God and praying and, affirming myself and all that. So when you shift your lens, your confidence no longer depends on your resume, on your past, on your feelings. It's rooted in your source energy. It's rooted in God's unshakable power. Hello, someone is preaching here. So the other thing is faith refrains fear. So faith says you're gonna fail. Yeah, you will fail. You can't do it. You will never amount to anything. I mean, fear says you'll never amount to anything, but faith says, even if I stumble, I'll learn and rise stronger. Even if I fail now, I will rise up and start building from scratch. Faith doesn't erase challenges, it changes how you see them. So there's nothing of like erasing them and running away from them, but it changes how you see them. And I'm learning this, myself as I'm even doing these things, because I've been having a lot of things that I'm planning to do, and then, a challenge comes in, and I have people telling me, oh no. So sometimes when I like to pause and I say to people, no, I'm not going to do this right now, people feel like I'm doing I'm doing it I'm trying to take a very drastic decision very quickly, but sometimes it's needed, especially when you have a lot of voices they're talking to you. Sometimes it's good to go back into your cocoon and go on a hermit, so that you can start having conversations with your source energy, like I'm saying. And because there's no way you're going to run away from those challenges or even from those blocks. You can only change how you see them. And sometimes when I'm in that mode, I see a lot and I see far. So we always have to see them differently. So do not run away from your challenges. Do not erase them, but sit with them. Feel the emotions. It's okay. It's all right even to feel, fearful and cry, but also try to look on a different perspective. So maybe this is not the right time for you to dive into something. You need probably to do your more homework on that, or you need to analyze or even start, getting a new skill towards whatever you want to pursue, right? So and I look at these when it comes to reframing faith with and fear. I look at the story of David. David saw Goliath as not as unbeatable, but as too big to miss, right? So that is the story I like to hang into. So when I want to reframe my fear and it turns into a faith. So the other thing is faith builds inner, assurance. You've assured. Doubt thrives in uncertainty, right? And faith is going to bring assurance all the way through. So for instance, let's look at the God promises, reminding you He never leaves you, He'll never forsake you, He'll always be with you. You have the answers right there with you, if only you are willing to listen. Stay still and listen. So past victories as well. Looking back at times you succeeded, it's also good always to go back to your past victories. That is going to build more momentum on your end, right? So, or things that you overcame when you thought you couldn't, or when you looked for help and no one was there to offer that help. So look on those, go back and revisit that, the past success. It's very important because it's going to assure you. Your faith will help you build your inner assurance. And the other thing, it's inner conviction. So peace that surpasses, all whatever understanding, however they say it. You need to have that inner conviction with you. No, don't listen to people, because the more you listen to people, and I'm not saying that you don't, go for advice and all that. It's a good thing, but sometimes also take, people's advice with, a bit of, with a pinch of salt. Is that how they say it? I don't know. So, peace that surpasses all understanding. So no matter whatever challenge you're going through, you will have that peace in you. You'll be so peaceful. You're not going to be running up and down and crying and thinking, oh, what do I do now? I feel like, the world is coming to an end. You're going, the peace and faith is going to sustain you during that turbulence. So the other thing I want to talk about is that faith fuels action, even when you're scared. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's moving forward despite fear. And I'll repeat, courage is not the absence of fear. It is moving despite fear. And I'm going to drink something here because I feel so dry. So faith gives you that push to take the steps before you even see the staircase, before you even see, what's ahead or what's waiting for you. Because you have much faith in you, you know that you're going to conquer. You're going to build those beliefs. You're going to elevate. So, and I'll give an example. So, like for when Peter was stepping out of the boat, he walked on water. And sometimes we feel like these are like fairy tales. But because of his faith, he did not sink. Yeah. So, and we have to apply. That's why I like sometimes applying these Bible more like they're like metaphors, and because they kind of like give you they show you a different perspective, how to see life in a different lens, if that makes sense. So even when but also like when with Peter, he kind of like sank when doubt distracted him. So you will always know, sometimes you have to know that even as much as we feel like we have lots of faith, if you give doubt just a little bit of chance, just like Peter in the Bible gave that doubt and he started sinking, you're going to get some hindrances here and there. So it's always good to be so focused. So that's why I said, even early in the morning, you have to have daily routines and habits and patterns. How do you start your morning? So do you fast? Do you meditate? Do you pray? So that you can build that faith, trust, and believe in whatever source energy you believe in. Otherwise, if your faith is not rooted into source, God, whatever you believe in, you're gonna sink, because doubt works with us hand in hand. As much as you have this great faith within you, doubt as well, it's working with you. So it's just waiting for you to give it that little chance. And once you give it that little chance and you're distracted, you're gonna start thinking just like Peter. So let's talk about faith. Faith declares, the other thing we will need to talk about faith is it declares identity over insecurity. So doubt questions, who am I? Can I do that? Am I even skilled? But faith answers, yes, I'm chosen, I'm equipped, I am called, I am talented, I am creative. What are you going to do about it? Right? So affirmations. So for me these days, I'm more like getting affirmations that are rooted in scriptures. And there's one we can like from Philippians 4:13, and it's, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? That's Psalms 27. Yeah. So once you're able, or you can just create your own affirmations, because you're a creative human being. Yeah, whatever affirmation you come up with, it's going to work for you. The other thing is that a faith breakthrough exercise we're going to talk about. Step 1, it's write down 3 doubts you often hear in your mind. They are always recurring to you. Step 2, match each doubt with faith, truth, or even a scripture, or even an affirmation. And step 3, say those truths aloud daily until they become louder than your doubts. It might not, sometimes when you start beginning new habits and new patterns, and I like to tell people, especially when you're learning how to start affirming every morning, every now and then, it might not feel like your authentic self, but with time, you're going to conquer it, and it's going to give you you're going to have like a rebirth. It's going to become a habit for you, And sometimes you find, like myself, if I do not wake up and affirm, or even I journal in the morning, my whole day feels like it's kind of like chaotic, because it I started doing this over 6 years ago. So I like, especially when I have projects, or even when I have things that I'm focusing on, journaling and affirming myself is just a priority for me. And I want you to know that fear will always whisper lies, but faith speaks louder if you choose to listen. And sometimes we don't listen at all. So, I want you to, try and capture the distraction that comes within your projects when you're trying to start, when you're trying to do something, when you're trying to start that business, that project. It's good you capture those moments, and then whatever fear comes in, whatever fear is telling you, write it down also, although it's not the truth, and then reframe that with affirmations that are going to help you through. Or you can find scriptures that you can hang into when you feel like doubt is hitting you, because most of the time are the times that doubt is gonna hit you so badly, and that's not a reason to to start feeling like you're a failure. You're not a failure, because you've not even tried it until you, and even if you fail, it's just a learning experience, and maybe there's something greater that's awaiting for you. So, tools to rise above self-doubt. It's good to faith journal exercise. So write down 3 fears, and then counter each with a fear-based truth experience, or even a scripture. And the other thing I will say, it's a courage challenge. Do one thing this week you've been putting off because of doubt. Yeah, just do it. Don't think about the results, whether it's going to be a success or not. As much as you took that one step, it's a win for you. And also create some a habit of maybe saying affirmations, declaration, or even prayer. A short prayer, asking for strength to act despite of fear. It's gonna take you far. And it's good you share with me a bold step you're going to take this week in the comment section. You can also encourage someone else with your courage. It's also a good thing. Why not? And that, my darling, calls this for the end of it. And see you on our 6th episode, which is going to be about relationships that elevate us, because our relationships are going to define where we're headed and our success. And most cases, the people that surround us, the kind of an environment that we're at, it defines who we're going to be. So until next time, I hope that you've enjoyed this episode, and I pray and I hope that you're going to conquer fear and the self-doubt. So bye bye.